Hello and welcome to the Alcohol Recovery Show, where we discuss practical, actionable steps for anyone who wants to achieve their dream of getting and staying well, happy and free from any form of alcohol dependence. Hello and a warm welcome to today's episode, Something Different. Whether you're here because you're working on your sobriety, supporting someone who is, or just curious about how small changes can create big shifts, you're in the right place. I'm Antonia and I'm so glad that you're joining me today. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever found yourself in a cycle? You know that one, maybe like Friday night and you're with the same group of friends in the same bar ordering the same drink, and somehow, despite your best intentions, you end up in the same place the next morning. You feel regretful, hungover, and wondering how you got there again. The truth is, habits, good or bad, thrive on repetition. And as the old saying goes, if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's what today's episode is about, doing something different. Now, first things first, let's talk about patterns. And the thing about patterns is they feel really comfy. They're predictable. And when it comes to alcohol, the patterns can be dangerous. Let's think about it. The same places, the same faces, the same triggers. It's like pressing play on a movie you've seen 100 times, but somehow we expect a different ending. Take a moment and ask yourself, what are your patterns? Do certain places make you want to drink? Are there people who make it hard to say no? Is there a time of day, a feeling, or even a song that sets you off? Here's the thing. Once you see the pattern, you can start to break it. If you know Friday nights at the pub with those friends lead to drinking, what happens if you do something different next Friday? Maybe meet someone for coffee instead, or go to a movie, or stay at home and do something creative, or just read a good book or watch a Netflix series. But sometimes identifying patterns isn't easy. What it does require is honesty, and that can be uncomfortable. But you know what? Discomfort is often where growth begins. If you're not sure where to start, try writing it down. As we spoke about in a recent episode, journaling is a great tool for identifying triggers and patterns. Write about your last 3 drinking experiences. Where were you? Who were you with? What were you doing and how were you feeling beforehand? Patterns will start to emerge. Remember that this isn't about shame or blame, it's about awareness. Patterns lose their power when we can see them clearly. Now, I know what you might be thinking, that's easier said than done. And you're right, change is hard. But here's some good news. It doesn't have to be a huge change. You don't have to overhaul your whole life overnight. Sometimes the smallest changes can have the biggest impact. Instead of going to the usual bar, try a different route home from work. Instead of meeting that one friend who always insists on just one more round, schedule time with someone who supports your goals. Even changing your environment, perhaps lighting a candle, playing music, making tea, can shift your mindset. So here's a challenge for you. What's one small thing you can do differently this week? Write it down, put it somewhere you'll see it, and commit to it. Here's another example. Let's say weekends are tough for you because they used to revolve around drinking. What if, instead of focusing on what you're missing, you focus on something new that you could add? A new hobby, a weekly hike, or even volunteering. Small steps can make a huge difference. The other thing about this as well is if you're actually doing interesting things, You've got interesting things to talk about with other people. When you're drinking, it's just the same loop. It gets boring and repetitive. But if you're actually doing something that's interesting, it can help overcome that social anxiety when you've actually got a whole plethora of different activities you've been involved with that you can chat to people about. And also think about it this way. Every time you choose a different action, you're creating a new neural pathway in your brain. I think we've all heard about neural pathways now and ways that we can rewire our brain patterns, and that how over time those pathways become stronger and the old habits weaken. So even though it might feel uncomfortable or difficult to begin with, it will get easier the more that you do it. And here's another secret to success. When you find something that works, do more of it. It's simple, but maybe not that easy. But it does get easier the more that you do it. If hiking on a Saturday morning keeps you feeling clear and focused, make it a weekly ritual. If journaling helps you to process your emotions instead of reaching for a drink, keep that notebook handy. Recovery isn't just about avoiding the bad patterns, it's very much about building good ones. It's about finding joy, purpose, and connection in places you might not have looked before. Now, at this point, I want to share a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call him Mike, used to drink every Friday night after work. It was a ritual. But when he decided to stop drinking, Fridays felt empty, awkward. He just didn't know what to do with himself. So he started going to a pottery class on Friday evenings at a local arts centre instead. And you know what? That pottery evening became the highlight of his week. Not because he was amazing at pottery, trust me, he wasn't, but because he found something different, something that filled the space alcohol used to occupy. And here's another example. Someone I know started training for a 5K race. He really didn't like running at first, but having a goal and something to work towards gave him a sense of purpose. Now he runs regularly and it's become a cornerstone of his recovery. Now take a moment and think, what's something that brings you joy or peace? Is there something that you've always wanted to try? Lean into that, explore it, give it space to grow. Another key to doing something different is surrounding yourself with people who support your goals. Recovery isn't something you do alone. And we would encourage you very, very much to reach out to other people and make those healthy connections, whether it's a support group, a close friend, or an online community. Having people who understand and encourage you makes a world of difference. If you're not sure where to start, try reaching out. Attend a meeting, join an online forum, or even just have an honest conversation with someone you trust. And remember, it's okay to set boundaries. If certain people or places aren't supporting your recovery, it's okay to take a step back. Protect your progress. So, here's the takeaway from today's episode. If you want a different result, you have to do something different. Identify the patterns, make small changes, and lean into the things that work. Surround yourself with supportive people. And remember, recovery isn't about being perfect. A lot of it, actually, I think most of it, is about showing up, being honest with yourself, and having the courage to step out of your comfort zone. So before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. What's one thing that you're going to do differently this week? Say it out loud right now. Write it down. And if today's episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And join me next time for more honest conversations about change, growth, and doing something different. Take care, be kind to yourself, and remember, small steps lead to big changes. Bye.